Thank you very much. A little sound check from you just to make sure that everyone can hear you and hopefully everyone can hear me as well.
How you doing, Dan? You sound good to me.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, everyone. So I'm really excited to do this webinar because it's, in my opinion, it's going to be one of the best ones, and I know you guys have heard this before, but it's really cool when, the technology is constantly evolving right in front of us. And many of you who are our customers, you know that we have the most rapid development cycle almost anywhere, but certainly in fintech. We're pushing the limits of what you can do with technology, and that's to help make money. And that's why it's so exciting to be here and to do what we're doing. I'm actually snowboarding in Tahoe at North Star, and this is my day off after having several days on the mountain. I really am excited because I get to rest a day and do the Q&A webinar. Before we get started, we got to really do kind of a high level.
We can't see your screen yet. Are you sharing it?
Huh.
Scott, maybe you kind of left it in limbo with the poll that you put up there.
That's probably what happened. But I'm on the disclaimer right now, so if Scott can bring us back to life.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, perfect. So everyone can see the big disclaimer?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so Trade Ideas is not a registered investment advisor, so the information is educational and informational purposes only. Please consult a registered investment advisor if you are looking for quote-unquote registered investment advice. I'm going to minimize the presentation real quick, and oh no, well, let me take that back. I'm not going to minimize the presentation. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what I was doing today. So as I mentioned that, so this is my day off, so I kind of spent a lot of it in the market, working with the AI, trading, and doing stuff. And I had a phenomenal, like Donald Trump would say, incredible day. I had an absolutely incredible day, big winner. But I really want to talk to you about specifically how I caught this move in GoPro, because it has a lot to do with really a lot of the things we're talking about in terms of the AI and some of the functionality that we really just released. So the other thing I wanted everyone to know is that unlike many CEOs, and I'm not the only one in our company that does this, but I invest actively in the markets so that when I'm speaking to you and when we're designing products, we're not just doing it, from some marketing consensus group or some BS that you read about. We're actually in it. Everything that we do at Trade Ideas doesn't only touch our customers, it touches us personally. Okay, so I like to lead by example, and I really believe if you can't talk the talk if you don't walk the walk, and I want to make sure everybody knows that we do both. So the other thing is, again, it's about utilization of our technology is not simply about having a tool. It's a whole life cycle of how to extract alpha from the market. And from the moment you work with Trade Ideas, you get the valet treatment. You get that one-on-one interaction where we basically create your workspace for you, work you through all of the basic kind of 101 things that really help get you going. And then we have a full community of our registered users that are active every day, working with Barry and with Steve and with Jamie in the trading room, where very high-level ideas are being exchanged. And so many successful traders are in here and active investors. And the best part is this is free. Okay, you do not have to be a subscriber to Trade Ideas to be in this room and watch our users and customers extract alpha from the market. So I want to make sure, again, that everybody understood that before I switch to the bigger part of the presentation. So I'm going to start with an overview. So first of all, we're not going to, when we do the Q&A webinar, I hate doing presentations that are kind of feature-based. I used to do that a lot, and I learned that doesn't work. So what we're going to be talking about is in this presentation is actually how do you make money with Trade Ideas, okay? And specifically, the most important money extraction tool, in my opinion, is the latest things that we have just brought to market. So quick overview. Trade Ideas is your idea generation investment discovery engine. For those of you who aren't subscribers, we connect to the markets, we connect to social media, we process all of this in our server room, and we've been doing it. We've been the best at it for 12 years. So we're developing, we're not a startup that has some idea and are trying to bring this to market. We're a company, we've been profitable since day one, and we've been doing this for 13 years, and we're creating the best way for individuals to be able to interact with the market. So there's a channel bar that that you can basically surf around and see what's being discussed on social media, what's going on in the pre-market. And notice there's no configuration, no nothing. I mean, the idea is that it should be that simple. We're trying to bridge the distance between an idea that you can actually put your money behind versus all the tweaking that most people seem to be fascinated with doing in terms of marking up their charts and things like that. There's a huge bevy of channels for you to pick from, depending on what you like. Right now, since the market is closed, I'm going to show you the after hours channel. And here, if you want to see what's up the most in after hours, it's MVIS, up 14%. Okay? So we're this technology platform that really easily allows you to see things and act on things in a way that no one's ever been able to do before. So as we've been building this, it was a natural extension for us to, now let me make a quick interlude. So as we built the technology, we also created a tool called the Odds Maker that allows you to test anything. And I'm not going to really get into that because I think that Jamie, when he does the office hours, he handles that a lot. I mean, this is more of again, I focus more on helping you make money. So our Odds Maker was a technology that we designed and have had built for since 2006. Brad, am I right? Is it 2006 when we first launched the first version?
06 is when we first released it. The first iteration, we've made enhancements all along the way.
Oh yeah. So the idea is, in this Odds Maker, you can create any window you have, and this is just an example of a window that you would find in Trade Ideas, breaking out on volume. You can click on it and you can see kind of what that means. Okay, so I want to be able to see this, and as any investor or trader, I want to be able to ask myself, okay, so what happens if I use this kind of a signal as an entry signal to get into an investment? Am I going to make money or lose money? Now that's completely different than the way that backtesting has usually been designed, because again, it was designed by people with different technology. We're the only ones with event-based technology. We're watching everything. So our software just looks at the event. It's like, okay, breakout on high volume. Does this work or does it not work? So we kind of give a high-level overview of how I would want to trade it. So I'm on the West Coast, so I'm going to skip the first half hour, and let's say I'm going to trade till the close. And I can ask a couple of questions. So what happens 30 minutes after the signal on average? This is just one example. So here, this is how our backtesting engine works. And again, see, it's going through 1,200 scenarios that have taken place over the last quarter, is it, Brad, I believe, right?
Yeah, last 64 trading days, which works out to be a quarter.
Right. So here it is, there's one great day, and then from that point on, it's just not a really viable strategy. So we created tools for ourselves to be able to figure out, well, what is the best way to look at it? Is there a good time that this can be done? Like, for example, in terms of just looking at the overall environment, right? You can almost see that, hey, from 11:30 to 12, so kind of close to towards the power hour, when these things were happening, there were some moves, although on very low percentage. Like, you can catch something, but there's really not a lot of ammunition to pull from. So as we continue to develop, and I kind of going back here in history, we said, you know what, it's very hard for a human to test anything. Now, once you get better and better at it, you create better hypotheses and you can test it, and again, just almost infinite power. But we created Holly. So Holly is our artificial intelligence engine that processes all of our own data and comes up with the best strategies that she thinks are going to work today. And what we do is we handicap ourselves in a way that no other investment group could ever handicap themselves. So what we basically say is we can beat the S&P starting flat every day and getting out every day, which nobody can do, no one says can be done, but we are doing it. And I'm going to show you the PowerPoint, and right now I'm kind of expanding the view mode to show you that today was probably one of the most profitable days for the AI ever, I would think. And I'm going to talk to you about how to make money, and I'm going to talk to you about how I caught GoPro, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the latest version that we brought out. Brad, what's the version number for the latest release?
Well, the latest release is 0.52. I don't know if that's available on the website yet, but it should be up very, very shortly. Okay. I think on the website we've got 0.50.
Right. So for those of you that are new, Trade Ideas does a couple of things. I mean, we have all this, AI technology where we're trying to figure out how do we extract the most money we can out of the market. Now, we do this in a number of different ways. Okay, one of the ways is in a purely day trading modus where we say, okay, look, we're going to get in, we're going to put in profit targets, we're going to put in, we have to model a strategy, and in order to model a strategy, we have to say that we are trying to get out. And by the way, modeling a strategy based on maximum P&L is not a strategy. That's called closing your eyes and hoping. So we create a lot of different algorithms to help us figure out what can we extract out of the market. But the market, as you know, is not a red light, green light system. And our AI is not meant to be this mad. In fact, we joke about the fact that we name our AI Holy Grail as a play on the fact that so many people come to us looking for the magic silver bullet. Hey, do you have the strategy that works all the time? And over the years, we keep on explaining to our customers that in the stock market, which is very dynamic, there's no such thing as any one strategy that works all the time. It's a constant evolution. You look at things and you evolve your strategy based on what's happening. So our AI has 45 different concepts where we try to, and let me expand this out real quick so I can just, again, this explanation will help kind of make you understand what we are doing in the whole grand scheme of things. So this is a daily chart on the QQQs. And so here, these green squares and candles, I'm sure everybody knows what candlesticks are. These are days. So one of the things that we did to really help ourselves get out of the quicksand of technical analysis and random walk and the efficient market hypothesis and all this stuff that was basically invented primarily before technology really had the ability to process big data, is we said we need to keep things very simple to create a tool that is dynamic and is able to extract alpha. Every day, every single day you see here has a high, a middle, and a low. Okay, so that's consistent with every single day, whether it's a tiny little day like this, or if it's a huge, range day like this or like this. All of them have a low, a middle, and a high. So what we do is we have created 45 concepts that try to exploit where a stock is depending on where the AI finds it, at the high, the middle, or the low. And by exploiting, what I mean is we try to make money statistically by looking at the odds of what's been happening and then make trades based on that. So for example, when you see something called support, is that you under 20? Okay, let me go over here. And by the way, notice I'm able to change everything so I can go really quickly into what we were doing. So I'm going to look at this stock right here. Support is that you. This is an exploitation of a stock that's on its lows or on the lower end of the range. So our software does all this calculation, and then it says, hey, based on what I've seen, this is probably a good time to buy. Now remember, there's basically three places where you can do this. You can do this at the bottom, you can do this in the middle, or you can do this at the top. And we look at the odds for all of that, okay? So that's what we're all about. We're like this big data odds crunching machine that's trying to exploit any inefficiencies or any supply and demand inefficiencies, if there is one, through statistical analysis. Not technical analysis, but statistical analysis. Okay? So another example is this one called bond shorting. Okay, let me go over here. So bond shorting, okay, is an exploitation of a stock that's doing something on its daily range. Right? Like over here, the bigger picture looks very negative. Okay, and the exploitation on this one is really in the middle of its range. So it's looking for a stock that, you know, is popping up, pulling back down in the middle of its range, and then it goes to short it, assuming that it's going to come down. And in this case, it definitely did. So if you look at it, okay, so let me, entry price in this case was 2002 right here, and the low was around 1937. So that's, again, those are the kind of things that we do. So obviously, again, in order to protect ourselves, to make sure that we don't put our customers who are just kind of don't have enough experience yet, or that are getting used to working with this technology, we never want to put our clients in a position where they're stuck in big losers. That's the worst thing that you could possibly do. So we have these stops, these exits that help you try to extract the profit. Okay, so I want to look at this ASPS example of a trade that happened. So this was a short. We thought that here it went up, came down, and we were looking for it to continue to go down. Okay, let me move here. So notice that when we got out of it, and this was a time stop, Brad, I believe bond shorting was an hour-based strategy, right?
Yeah, and if you look at the AI strategy window right next to bond shorting, it lets you know what your expectations are for your hold time and your stop loss, as well as your profit target.
Brad, thank you for helping me point out the odds. Well, you know, it's funny. It's like sometimes you can look at this and you can't see the forest through the trees yourself. And I'm like, I'm so focused on the strategy window, I can't even look at the fact that it's right in front of me. Thank you, Brad. So all of this is, by the way, in our strategies window. You can see the date. So these strategies, let's just to go back a little bit. These strategies are the ones that made it out of our 45. These were the ones that made it to play. And look at it. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So this right away, Brad, what would this tell you if you see 3 longs and 3 shorts?
Yeah, that would tell me in the overnight combine that it didn't feel like there was any particular pressure either way, and so it delivered an equal number of long and short opportunities.
That's right. In fact, you know, I was even going to say that it probably leaned a little bit to the negative side, I'm going to guess, because it had the power hour short, was making money. Now remember, all of these strategies are here for one reason and one reason only, which is right now, as we are talking on this Q&A webinar, our software center in San Diego is crunching massive amounts of data based on not only what happened in the past, but today. So today, like we see the S&P has gone up, okay? And today, most likely, if you had actually power hour long, you would have done amazing. So I would not be surprised to see that tomorrow. Brad, would you agree?
I'd agree. And, you know, it's also important to note that each of these strategies, you know, they're kind of being augmented every day. And you pulled up the odds maker, and you didn't dive too deeply into it, but the odds maker, in addition to giving you kind of the overall analysis of how that strategy would have performed, it also gives you the ability to really optimize the filters that are in the strategy. And you know, you showed the time, right, where you could optimize the time, but you could also go into the 100+ filters that Trade Ideas has and modify them to make it so that it's a more profitable strategy. And that's what our computers do with every strategy after the market close. And it runs through millions of trading nuances and strategies based on different filter settings to really come up with a set of 45 strategies that then compete with each other based on their in-sample and out-of-sample data metrics.
Yeah.
So there, yeah, you're showing relative volume where you can so change the interval to something like 0.5, right? So you're going to break relative volume down into every 0.5 increment, and then you can kind of see exactly how many trades triggered during that with relative volume between 2 and 2.5.
Well, what's
this
interesting
is a breaking out on volume, so everything's going to have high volume.
Right, and the interesting part too is that when you go through this, Brett, in my opinion, you kind of realize that alpha is not exactly where people think it is, obviously, because it's so hard to find, right? And I want to just give people an example here. Like, look at now some of it, okay, you might think is like obvious, like look at this, relative volume of 14. I mean, something crazy's happening, right? But look at the win percentage. I mean, it's good, but only 7 trades. Whereas, look at over here, 15. Like this is a stock that's trading 15 times normal volume. 42, 20%. It does not. Volume does not necessitate success.
Break it into $5 intervals or 5-point intervals. Just to give us
Brad, the only reason I didn't do that is I sometimes get scared that people, it's like too much into the weeds, and I always want to.
I think the beauty is the fact that you could sit here and you could go through this and you could pick it apart and you could come up with something good. You really could, but it takes a lot of time to do that. And
by the way, this is what all of our clients who work with the AI do, is they learn how to work with this, but it's not a necessity is really what I'm trying to say, is like we're kind of showing you historically the foundation of what's happened, of where all this comes from, is we have all of this data. We have this data and we are able to see it in a way that most people just can't ever see. Everything that you have, you can go back and look, and that's because of our data center and what we do, and we also allow you to put in commissions and slippage and things that really happen in trading. But let's get out of the weeds, okay? I want to talk, Brad, about why today was probably one of the best trading days that we have ever had, and I'm going to really talk about it in 2 ways, okay? So let me put in all the strategies. So let's talk a little bit about, again, just a little reiteration. What does Trade Ideas do? So we had this strategy called the Billion Plus a Go-Go. Okay, it had a stop loss of 2%, and it was a 60-minute hold. Again, modeled as that's what worked the best based on the recent time frame. But remember too that, as we said, Holly, our AI, she's there to do all of the hard things for you. She's always in the action, so you can see what's going on and then act accordingly versus just going blindly by saying, oh, I don't know what's going on, or just because the S&P is doing something, then I'm going to do something. Because we have to tell you, today, for the most part, the S&P was doing absolutely nothing. In fact, it was oscillating between up a little bit, down a little bit, up a little bit, down a little bit, and that's why the total P&L for the timed exits was negative. But look at the non-exit P&L. So Brad, just to help me catch my breath, could you do our viewers the proper and explain what is the non-exit P&L?
All right. Well, so like you explained earlier, every strategy it has built into it a time that you're going to be getting out of it. The non-exit P&L is it's hypothesizing you not getting out of that trade when Trade Ideas suggested that you get out either because of a time stop, because of a stop loss, or even a target being hit. So this is going to let you know the continuation of that strategy, how would it performed had you continued to hold it.
So in this particular case, let's look at this example. So this is the best trade that we had today. It was especially in terms of non-exit P&L. It's sorted by the most, and you can see, like, look at how this strategy performed through all, when you didn't have to get out in 60 minutes. Look at how, because we were, I mean, this is what Holly's looking for, right? She's looking for the odds that are really stacked for the move. Every single one of our trades, people say, are you guys day traders or are you swing traders? And we always say neither, okay? Because you should also be neither. There's no such thing as day trading. I mean, if you get into a stock, your P&L at the time that you ultimately decide to get out is what should dictate whether you are still in it or not. And of course, the risk tolerance. Are you trading someone else's money? If you have a $50,000 account, your positions might be different than if you have a $20,000 account or a $5,000 account or a couple of $100,000 account. Okay, so we are the card counters. We're putting you into the stocks that are statistically supposed to go. Now, we got you in this case in the 60 minutes that when we got in here, we caught 16 cents. Okay, which was, let's see here. This was entry price 40.40, so that was like right here, and it got to like 65 by the time the exit hit because there was a pullback. So it got up to here. So there was basically a point relatively quickly, or close to a point, and then there was a pullback, and we exited on that pullback, okay, because again, that was the time exit. Now here's the thing. So I'm going to scroll down here. As soon as that happens, this number, the non-exit, when you exit here, and the non-exit is always 0. So what I am always, and so now I'm showing you how do you extract money out of the Trade Ideas AI, both again, from this column to this column. These are my two go-to columns for making money, and here's how. So I'm watching this. Now, again, we got into some stuff early, and the profitability was like almost up to 3 points very quickly because it was these billion plus a go-go stocks. But the market pulled back very hard, and so some of the time exits were hit, and some of the stop losses were hit. And this is what it looked like, as we were doing it in real time from the open positions. But once they were closed, I'm watching these and I'm starting to see, wow, look at, and I'll tell you which one I was particularly looking at today that really gave me the nice run. So let's go to GoPro, okay? Let me zoom back in right here. So how did I catch the move in GoPro? Okay, so we entered GoPro at 12.40, okay? I'm going to move this column a little bit. And we lost 25 cents at 12.15 because the stop was hit. Now listen, look at this move right here. So we get in here. This is, remember, Holly is doing this for you so that you can, again, have something vested in a trade versus just, watching. And when you watch winners and losers, what does that mean to you? It means nothing if there isn't an arrow there because you're not vested. And we are the only technology out there in the market that lets you be vested into something and then interact with it. So how did I catch GoPro? I was watching it, okay, and I actually got in. But for me, personally, okay, I did not take the 12.15 exit because, again, for me, from where I was looking at it, I really thought that I could maintain it. So that's just me personally. I did not take the exit. But what really made me, and I traded it in two ways. I bought 500 shares first, okay, and I stayed in it. But what really caught my attention, okay, was when I was watching the non-exit P&L go from 0 to like 10 cents, and then 15, and then I was like, wait a minute, look at it, brought me back here. I was like, wow, this whole thing just got erased. And I bought back in for my 1,000, and then this was the rest of the ride. Okay, so I'm constantly here watching this to make sure that just because I'm out of this, I don't accidentally miss this. So here's another example on CLR. Okay, and this is why I'm saying this is one of the biggest winning days for the strategies. Look how it caught the moves. These are huge percentage moves. I'm gonna look at this one right here. if you go all the way to the bottom on, not to the bottom, rather X, look at the percentage movement that we were able to catch in X. After having a time stop of 15 cents, loser. Okay, so here it is. I mean, and this is the whole point that we try to say. Why is there no green light and red light? Is because the future can't be predicted. We have the math that supports, the direction, but ultimately, once something happens, I do not know exactly what's going to happen at the end of this webinar. I mean, I have an idea. I'm going to have some dinner. I'm going to watch a movie, play with my kids, but you don't really know what's going to happen. And this is the same thing with the stock market. We got in here. This was a beautiful breakout, but then it kind of stalled. And look, in here, if the market had started to, fall, it could have easily just capitulated and gone down. I mean, that's just one of the options that could have taken place. But because I'm watching the non-exit P&L and I see it again go from 0 to 5 cents, 10 cents. So now what was a loser here has now become not only a winner, but a really big percentage winner. And that's
Dan,
why it's
U.S. Steel, that was one today that I had added into my limit alert window. When it expired on the time stop, I just decided to put something in there above the high of the day just to be, re-alerted to something if it was starting to move. And it came up, and it really did have a great move. Let's do this. Let's take a pause right here. Let's bring Scott back in, and then let's show some limit alert functionality because we've had a few questions.
Again, they go hand in hand, so no doubt. Let me bring the demonstration back up. And let me go right here.
Yeah, it sounds good. Something, we are a software as a service company, so I'm going to talk a little bit about how we charge. And our standard package, our standard subscription is a $99 per month subscription that includes all of your data. It includes the exchange fees. It also includes the charting and our one-on-one training. So as soon as you get a subscription to Trade Ideas, the best thing to do is to go directly to the support page, click on training, and we have a really easy way for you to select the exact time and day that's your preference with one of our educators, either Steve Gomez or Jamie Hodge. The annual plan is fantastic because it saves you a lot of money. It's $888 per year and automatically renews. There's no contract, so you can cancel it at any time. To get access to the AI channel and the higher functionality is the AI strategy license, and that's a one-time $1,100 cost. And with that, you have lifetime access to the Odds Maker, which is a backtesting technology tool that requires no programming. You can backtest the entire market or your own basket of stocks, and you can find trades that are performing in the market right now with our AI Holly, which is something we recently released onto the world. We've had it out for about 3 months, and people love it. Dan and Brad are going to answer all of your questions now and give you a little demo of some of the limit alerts and all the other functionality. And if you stick around to the very end, I will have some promo codes and links for you to sign up if you don't currently have a subscription, or to get Holly and the AI if you do have a subscription. So stick around, and turning back over to Dan.
Scott, thank you very much. And Brad, why don't we take a moment to answer some questions? I'm sure there are. I can't see them, of course. But Brad, maybe you can.
There were a couple questions specific to the limit alert functionality. One, how you enter it in, how you decide to set a limit alert, where you do that, and then the window itself.
So let me demonstrate that really quickly. Okay, so here I have a chart, and I can move my mouse anywhere where I visually kind of like what I'm seeing. And I can right-click, and I can create an alert. And here, I would have wanted to be alerted if United States Steel crossed $10.55. And I can say, for example, can't spell, breaking out of consolidation. Okay, I can save it, and now instantly this line appears that this is when my alert takes place. And also, it's red because it's been hit, because I'm doing it for demonstrative purposes.
So Dan, let me clarify. Let me clarify for the people that are watching, because you actually put this alert in below where the price of the stock currently is. And because you did that, it thinks you're looking for this stock to come in, to that price to alert you. But you could reverse it when you're setting that up as well.
That's right. That's right. So if I can, what I can do is, for example, whoops, where did it go? So here we have different ways that we can look at our alerts. Now, one of the ways is something that's already been alerted, and I can keep track of it. So what's really interesting here is that how do you become your own AI? So this is the functionality that we just released. And here, by the way, again, back to the alert that I just talked about from USTO. Here it is. It's from above. And I can edit it, and I can say falls to, and I can say save. So now, whoops, sorry, edit the limit alert, and I can say rises to 1055. So Brad, did I do that right? I believe so. So you can do either or, falls to or rises, falls to or rises, depending on what it is that you think is going to happen. So notice that there's like warnings. Do you say alert? If price X rises, warning, alert might trigger immediately since price is currently 11.35. So I can hit save anyways, and look, it disappeared because it's already done. It's triggered. Brad, did I explain that well?
Yeah,
I want
you're
to make
right.
sure
You're
that
right.
everybody.
You explained it. So you basically right now you have your limit alert window filtered only to be looking for stocks that have not triggered. So because you put that.
So let's look at some of that. Here I have one in stay where I'm looking for it to come down to 13, for example, just as an example. From above, and I had another alert, I believe, on it for going up. So you can have multiple alerts even in the same stock, depending on what it does. So I would call this kind of like a bracket. You can say, hey, let me know when this thing breaks out, but also let me know when it comes to. It's really a completely unique way of looking at the market data. So, but let's talk about how we. So I'm going to make sure this is all pinned so I can come back to it. So Brad, let's go to the volume channel and really show people how do you utilize the limit alerts. Okay, I'm going to go really slow. So here I'm sorting stocks by the most unusual volume. In this case, WFT, Weatherford International, had an 11% gain today. So if I'm looking at the longer term, okay, kind of getting really my eyes dialed in to see what do I like. So here's when the high here was 713. So I can right click and say, let me know when this thing breaks to 715. And I'm going to note, say, out of this range. So it's getting out of the range. Alert if price of WFT rises to 715. Save. So here is my WFT. So I've got this now, and I'm watching it forever. So our software is keeping track of all of this, and again, and it can tell you, like here, I'm looking for this one to come down, and all the other ones, I'm looking for them to go up. So in this case, look at Solar City, right? It's starting to kind of make its move and approaching my target. And my target here is this high, the recent high point. Now I'm saying when if it breaks out of here, it's really going to fill this void where it had a really terrible earnings. So you can do this for any single stock you want. So let's, again, just hypothetically speaking, Altisource portfolio, okay, some really crazy stuff, but look at the volatility, right? So I'm going to go over here, that's 2103, and I'm going to set an alert, like just like 2150. And I'm going to call this reversing the downtrend. And I'm going to save it. And here it is. Okay, so this is how our users really never miss any kind of move, because what they're doing is after market hours, they've got Holly who's crunching the numbers. They know what patterns are working. And we've been showing people, that there's really a lot that you can do with trying to work with things that are just completely statistically out of whack. Like, for example, this. If a stock, is behaving this way, there's some crazy stuff going on, but crazy for active investors or engaged investors is a good thing, not a bad thing. We're not buying dividend stocks, and we're not day traders either. We're looking for large percentage returns. It doesn't matter to us if it happens in 5 minutes or 5 days. So in this particular case, again, think of yourself as a profiler and a venture capitalist. So this thing got annihilated, Vivint Solar, and here it is. This is a 5-minute chart. It's been kind of flatlining. So what I can do is I can say, okay, well, what I'm going to go is right here, maybe even a little higher, and put in an alert where, again, I can say turning around.
Which, by the way, this works great. Like when you come in the morning and a stock is gapped up into that range, you're instantly alerted to it. So when you load the software up, that limit alert window, if you have the action set for notification popping up or an audible sound, it'll automatically pop up and let you know.
Yeah, so you don't have to watch these windows. Here we have the actions, and again, I can say play a sound and show me the alert. In other words, it'll say, I use text to speech, but you can put in, hey, wake up, or any kind of, you can record yourself. You can have some fun with it.
Hey, do this, Dan. Do me a favor. Close your limit alert window, and in Skype, I sent you a cloud link that has a couple of limit alert windows that I created. It's still going to have your limit alerts in it, but it's going to have kind of the way I set it up, just to kind of give another flavor so people can see how to use the limit alert window.
Okay, so what Brad is showing, what I'm going to show with Brad here is probably one of the most important features that we have. So not only do we let you create any kind of alert yourself, so you are your own AI, but we know that being alone is not the way to do anything. So what Brad and I are going to do now is he's going to show me how he gave me a cloud link. So this is a web-looking cloud link that I can share, and Brad has shared with me, and I'm going to copy it. Okay, I'm going to minimize my Skype. Then I go to my cloud, and it's already in my cloud stream. I hit load, and here it comes. So Brad, let's talk us through. I'm going to move these up here real quick and talk us through the way you look at these limit alerts.
You got it. So in these two different windows, the upper window is my working. These are limit alerts that I've set that are still waiting to be fired. This is something that I just keep minimized, or I open it up when I want to review something, like how far some of the stocks are away from the limits that I set. But that bottom window, that's the one where I have actions set to it. So like if you right click on it, you're going to see actions already set. So I've got this thing to pop up at any time a new signal is generated. So this would be the window that I would see when one of these signals is triggered.
So right here, and Brad, maybe now is the real time for us to show one of the most innovative and best technology tools I've seen on the planet. It's just a number, and it's so simple. But how do you, when you make these alerts, when you make these limit alerts, how do you have any idea if you're good or if you're insane?
Well, ultimately your profitability. But yeah, we did add this great field in here that basically does a summation of our dollars since triggered, and it's really doing effectively what we showed with the AI column that's giving you the non-exit P&L. This is really letting you know what the P&L is, right now based on the last price since the alert triggered.
So what that means is that the alerts that Brad had set up and that have triggered, in other words, that, hey Brad, your price is here, so do something. Brad is up 11 points on all of these alerts. So if you're talking about there, and again, if you sort it, by the way, Brad, I mean, you're up 11 points also because we kind of merged ours together.
We did. To be fair, we did merge. And what I did, Dan, is I sent you, there's two ways to share these limit alert windows. Now, what I did was I sent you just the container windows, right? I sent you a working container window and a triggered container window that didn't have any of the limit alerts, my limit alerts in it. Those are all your limit alerts that we had kind of combined earlier. But I could also share a number of different limit strategies with you that's independent of the container. So different ways to share this. It's really flexible.
One of the things I want to say is that there's a positive 1151. This is what's cool about being able to see what you're doing, and that's with a $24 loser. Okay, so I had set up a limit alert for GASX because I was thinking that maybe gas was going to bounce, and when it triggered, it was, I believe, 64.30. Now these limits, again, they're just to give you an idea of what's going on. But over the time, since I think I probably triggered right here, okay, and I've had this in there for a while, there's a negative 24. Of course, we would never be in losing $24 in a stock. But the idea is that if you combine all of the negative and the positive, I'm still up $11. That means that my eyes are pretty good. Whatever it is that I'm thinking.
And Dan, there's nothing to stop you. There's nothing to stop you from deleting that particular alert as well, right? Because it broke down. It's now out of the range, or maybe it's a better opportunity now. But you can delete that too.
That's right. So this is
ones.
Absolutely. So and Brad's showing you this is so without that gigantic loser, I'm actually up 36 points. That means that your friendly neighborhood snowboarding CEO has decent eyesight in terms of things that I'm spotting. Again, things that I've learned from the AI that I'm implementing on my own are working. Okay. So what we've got here is the complete solution. And the reason I keep reiterating is that, as people often use our technology and they do this, they look at this and then they decide, okay, would I want to get into it or not? And for the longest time, that would be it. You would either have to make a note yourself or maybe put a limit alert in your brokerage, but they don't do it like we do because you can't keep track of it in a portfolio type of setting. So here, you just go to wherever you are and create a little alert. Going, hit save. Okay, so here, this just lets me know that whatever is happening here is past and now it wants to continue higher. And the thing that for me, and I'm going to go back to the Holly AI channel because I really want to reiterate something very important. So remember I said, and this is the most important, kind of end of day sort of summation. Remember I had mentioned that when we're doing this AI, we are not in the business of day trading. You can't make money day trading. Now, my partner Barry's probably fainting that I'm saying that now, but I don't mean that literally of course you can make money trading short term. But if your goal is simply to get out quick, that's not a good goal to have. A goal to have is to make as much money as you can. And that's what we're trying to do. So because of that, almost every single alert that we have for our AI has some serious long-term implications. And this is what I want everyone to see. We are not in this business of trying to give you things where you're in it for 10 cents and you're out. Some of you are doctors, lawyers, you have other jobs. The idea here is we want to bring to your attention things that could pay for your kids' colleges and things like that, or your cars, or whatever it is. We want to elevate your lifestyle. And to do that, we give you the best tools. And look at this stock. You can imagine, right, that if this is a reversal, look at the potential upside. Okay, let's look at another one here. Do you see there's a familiar pattern with what we were trying to do? Look at this stock. These are, even though you're getting into them during the day, every single thing that we're trying to do could have long-term implications. Okay, the market, by the way, has been getting, this is just a quick reminder, the January and February that we had have been the most difficult January and February in market history, right? And our AI is still outperforming the S&P and really doing well. But as a result, a lot of 52-week highs have been fading. Okay, so here, it's the same thing. Look how this thing really ran, but what if it just pulls back kind of a little bit to the mean? You're talking about a move from 41 to like 35, potentially in a few days. So everything has long-term implications, and the idea is, look at this. I mean, look at the kind of patterns that you're seeing and the potential. And this is where now the limit alerts, as we were saying, really come into play. So now, let's say hypothetically you missed it. Okay, the AI got 21 cents, the non-exit got 70 cents. But let's talk about, again, the big picture here is somewhere up here, and we're here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right-click, create a limit alert, and I'm going to look now and say, okay, so this is at 591, so I want a 610. And I'm going to say the party is still on. Okay, so now this is going to go into my working alert, and let's see, where's the L? And here it is. There's my note. I know exactly why I want to get into it, and I'm not going to forget it because it's going to remind me. And that's the beauty of combining our AI with the longer term potential. So everything that the AI brings to my attention, I never lose it because I have the limit alerts that are there as kind of like my support system for continuing to extract more and more alpha. Every one of these trades has the most like big data number crunching in them. I mean, let's look at just a couple of these a million plus a go-go, and you will start to see a familiar pattern that you can see that we're trying to exploit. Look at this. How would you not want to be in this thing? I'm going to say could be good long term. Okay, so that's what we're saying about it's not just a day, right? It's about a process. And I don't really know anyone else who could possibly provide you with a better way to extract alpha from the markets than we are, especially with the data that we have. And again, this is the same thing. So even though this looks like it already went and you missed it, don't be fooled by, you know, by not being able to see the forest through the trees. There's a much bigger potential. If you kind of wonder, like, you know, Dan's talking about all this big potential, how much money can you really make? Do yourself a favor. Go to Google and like search Dell Computers returns from like 1990 to 1999. And what you're going to find out, the answer is right around 35,000%. And think about that for a little bit. Not 300, not 30, 35,000%. Now, again, I'm very positive on technology and very bullish because look at what we're doing. You know, we are in the technology space, and the things that are happening now are so amazing because we weren't capable of bringing you the AI just a year ago because the server capability wasn't there for us to be able to do what we were doing. So we're pushing the envelope to help you extract as much capital as you can out of this market right now. Today, I have another webinar about our trade of the week, and I'm just going to bring it up real quick. This is something that we provide for free for everybody, okay? Every Monday, we come out with our trade of the week. And our trade of the week is another one of these algorithms. It's another Holly type of algorithm that's kind of designed to give you a little bit longer term. We give much bigger stops. It's not, you know, just during the day. This is one of these ones where we also say, hey, just like everything you see here, this has immense long-term potential. So if you missed it, you don't really have to worry because you can say, again, listen, I missed the big move, but let's see if it really keeps going. And just say it is continue to go. Brad, are there any questions?
It looks like they've all been taken care of so far.
Okay, the summary of what I want to say is this. We now have a new version that lets you track the P&L of your own calls. Nobody has this. This is one of the most critical things that you need, because you want to keep this positive, because that lets you know that you are doing the right thing. If this was negative, then whatever it is you're thinking about isn't working. It's as simple as that. Non-exit P&L on the AI allows you to cherry pick the artificial intelligence, and that's what it's there to do. This is not a red light, green light. On the contrary, you are supposed to cherry pick if you are able to. And that is what that information field is there for. You can surf around anything and see all the different information that's available. Again, in our trading room, that's free, without a subscription. In our trading room, you have Barry, who is working with a lot of the AI signals and signals from other traders who are using our technology. So again, it's a pack environment. You always have support, and this is as good as it gets. You know, being able to see the big data, take the profits, but watch it afterwards is as good as you can possibly get right now. Let me give you back to the presentation and let Scott kind of go over some of the best ways to take advantage. Scott, is that okay?
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks. So I think you want to go to the next slide there.
Slide 7.
Yeah. So what we like to do to thank everyone for showing up at our webinars is provide those of you who are not currently a subscriber or who might not have the complete package a way to subscribe and get going with that. I actually have the expiration date wrong in the footer there. It should be March 4th. I got that, it was off by a couple of days. It's good until Friday. Use that code you see at the top, Holly2, all caps for Holly, and that takes half off your first month, 20% off your first year, and 30% off the lifetime oddsmaker AI licensing at Holly. So you can, if you already have a subscription and you want to add the AI and the limit alerts, use that code before Friday, and you can get that lifetime for $770. If you're on the monthly subscription and want to upgrade to yearly, you can get that at $710 for the first year, $888 renewing, or try us for the first month at $49. There's no contract, just, you know, hop on board and attend our webinars and go to the trading room. It's the best way to get started with, in addition to our hour-long trading. A real great one here for you guys who are all either already on the monthly subscription or who just want to get into the whole thing. Use the same code on checkout from this link. You go to bit.ly/capital AI Holly. The AI Holly has to all be in caps. That will take you to a page where you can click through to get the year lifetime oddsmaker AI for just $19.88, and the code takes 508 off of that because it takes 20% off of the $888 and it takes 30% off of the $1,100, and that leaves you at $14.80. So you get the entire package for just $14.80. And something I've done to make this easier for you to remember is to put in a PDF with these exact pages on it and the links. So if you look at the handouts panel on your GoToWebinar presentation, you'll see a PDF right there. You can click on that, download it. It includes this code and those links as a reminder, so you want to use these before Friday, end of business. And it's a fantastic way to get set up. We're going to have a real exciting month with new stuff coming up. Don't miss out. Thanks everyone for attending. Thank you, Dan and Brad, for the excellent presentation. This will be available as a recording by tomorrow. You'll get an email with a reminder. Thanks, guys.
Scott, I just want to mention to everybody that there's another webinar on the trade of the week, and that's where I'm really going to be not only talking about how we picked it, but I'm going to also, I showed everybody my limit alerts where I was up 36 points. I'm going to share that with everybody on that webinar.
Yeah,
so
and if you're not signed up for the Trade of the Week newsletter, you don't get invited to the Trade of the Week webinars. I dropped a link into the chat. I'll drop it in again. But you do need to be on that list to get the invite, so make sure that you do that. Thanks, Dan.
Okay, thank you, everybody. We look forward to seeing you later, and good luck hunting.
Cheers, everyone.